This is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
I hate that. I go right into a coughing fit right when the show comes on. How's everybody doing out there? And it is Safety Wars for Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. I want to wish my brother a very happy birthday today. I'm supposed to be listening. Yeah, we had a great time this weekend. A lot of baseball, 4 baseball games, and family celebration, so a lot going on. So next week, I don't know how often I'll be broadcasting here on the air. So we're probably going to be uploading programs, pre-recorded programs. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so there's a lot of and I was talking to a client today. There's a lot of these LMS systems, learning management systems out there. And what we're finding out is that they're preying on companies where they're like, oh yeah, come join our learning management system. We're going to give you 1 year free. All the training you want. And it's along the lines of, now I was on the phone with a client today. Jim, we're trying out this learning management system. I said, well, how's it working out for you? Not so good. I said, okay, what's going on? So, well, they offered us 1 year free, and it's like the training has nothing to do. Hold on. Well, Jim, the training has nothing to do with anything that we do. Well, what do you mean? Well, we do X, Y, and Z, and they assured us that we would be in regulatory compliance if we did X, Y, and Z. We were able to go out there, and we were able to take their thing, we'll be in regulatory compliance. I said, okay, but is it relevant to what you're doing? No, well, then technically it's not in regulatory compliance because you're supposed to train your employees on what they do. Yeah, but they give us a nice certificate and it's online and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, we do the same thing. And then they say, well, on top of that, I said, well, how long does it take you to go through an 8-hour course? They said 4 hours. So it takes you 4 hours to go through an 8-hour course. So what do you do? So, well, we do the 4 hours and we just leave the thing on the other 4 hours. And you're not learning anything. No, there's like no value. I said, well, what about, us doing? We've been doing it for years. Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to get everybody together. I said, well, we could do it via Zoom, with some of these training classes for what you're doing. We could do it Teams, we could do it Zoom, we could do multiple platforms here. So that's what you get out there. They said, but this is the last time we're using them because it's just so. The guy says, look, the training is from like 15, 20 years ago. I said, yeah, I know. They told me the name, and I said, yeah, I know. I said, I took a course with them recently, And in the review, I said, now I understand why people are psychologically damaged after taking your courses. Because it's just torture. It's along the lines of, if someone were to go up and, here, I'll pull up a safety meeting here. Boom, boom, boom. Hold on. Safety meeting 29 CFR 1916 warning 1915.16 shipyards warning signs and labels. Good day, team. Today's safety meeting will focus on OSHA Regulation 29 CFR 1915.16, which covers warning signs and labels in shipyards. And this is the level, and I'm familiar with their program because I had to take it one time many years ago for a class. Some contracts, they require, well, if you're going to do 8-hour refresher HAZOFfer training, you have to use this. You have to, because then we all have the same knowledge. But I'm like, the guy's probably having his 18-year-old son or daughter do this class because they don't back you up. Like on some of the platforms, you get a phone call or you got to dial in and, okay, yeah, are you the real Jim Polzel? Yes, I'm the real Jim Polzel. We're using voice recognition and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know what value you're getting here. There was one political person who used to be involved in politics from the Philadelphia area. I'm not going to mention her name. And she worked her way through college and graduate school, taking, and she's been out of college about 5 or 6 years, but before that, she worked her way through college, taking online courses for executives. And who were those executives? Were attorneys. When there was an online recertification course for an attorney, well, they paid her. Oh, well, you know what? I'm an attorney. I'm billing out $400 an hour. I cannot sit through these courses for however long it was. No, they're like 10-hour courses or 8-hour courses. So they would pay her something like $200 an hour to take this course, take this continuing ed course. And she would still probably be doing it because a lot of platforms are still like that. But what happened was she advertised. So if you're involved in a situation like that, if you're one-on-one, right, word of mouth, less likely to get caught. I'm not telling you how to circumvent things. It's just what the reality is. Her mistake was that she advertised. I will take a course for you. Once they found out, well, guess what happened? Then she got all different, people found out all different types of things, and she, it was a legal mess for her. And then, and it's like, well, who paid you? Who paid you? And it was just, screw around doing stuff like you're eventually going to get caught. Don't do it. And this, I'm not talking anything out of school. This is what happens. And if any regulatory agency out there wants to complain to somebody, go and complain. I'm telling you, this is what people do. And, this is what I have against doing LMS courses. Now, someone wrote to me on Safety Fourth, right? And I did a little bit of research and everything else. And what's Safety Third? We've all heard of Safety Third. Mike Rowe, right? So roughly around 2008, he was paid by someone, I think the Discovery Channel on his Dirty Jobs program, to talk about safety. And he has a big, long story, safety first. Right, he saw all these signs, safety first, and he's like, no, safety can only be third. And I thought maybe there was a little bit of disagreement, and he's up through the years with him, because I've always said safety fourth. But there's really no disagreement. We just describe things a little bit different. So if you are a consultant, for example, here, right, or you get called in and everything else. You get to observe certain things out there. So what I've always noticed is that safety can never be higher than a fourth priority. And both of our things, Mike Rowe, there's a little bit of disagreement where he's like, well, the employee is responsible ultimately for their own safety. Yes and no. Right? Employer is responsible for setting up systems and encouraging and setting up incentives for a safe working environment. To blame everything on the employee, that sounds like you're blaming the employee. And the employee often doesn't know. No, we hear all that all the time with the employees. They're not getting the right training, like we just said, appropriate training, or anything else. One of the other ones is like with CPR, which, by the way, we do CPR training for first aid, CPR, AED. So you're out there doing the first aid, CPR, AED training. You're doing the right thing. Now, it's not overly expensive training usually. And what happens? Well, there's a platform online that we could do first aid CPR training on. We're going to do that, and we're going to present that certificate. Not so fast. You have to have a demonstration in front of a certified, an authorized trainer to do that. You can demonstrate the skill with that. But how many companies go out there and do we did it online? Can't do it online. You have to have it in person. Same thing with your lift training, forklift, MEWOP, right? Mobile elevated work platforms. You need an in-person to demonstrate your skill. HAZWOPER, 40-hour course. Typically there's a field exercise with that. But we could go on and on and on here. So, safety fourth. What is safety fourth? Safety fourth is you got to get the job. You got to do the job. You have to get paid for the job and be financially solvent. Then it's safety. Mike Rowe describes it as you got to get the job, you take on a risk, and then safety comes there. Right? You take on the financial risk, and then, right? So there's basically, we describe them two different ways. Often, right, companies out there with they feel that they don't have to spend money on that training. They don't have to spend money on safety. Because we're just getting by. What's so hard? You got to wear a hard hat. You got to do that. And what ends up happening is if you're trying to do a low bid job where you're the low bidder, that's what they cut over and over again. I see this on every project I'm on practically, where there is one contractor out there. Well, guess what? We're not going to need to do X, Y, and Z training by a quality thing. We'll get it online. We are not going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to do it online. Or, hey, we're going to, and this happens in New York with the 10-hour outreach training and 30-hour outreach training all over the country, really. Well, guess what? I'm not sending my guy away or a girl away for 30 hours. Costs money. That's lost production. So guess what? I'm going to find X, Y, and Z person, and they were doing this in New York. They do it all over. And we're going to buy that certificate on the street. It used to be that you would have by the Department of Buildings in New York City, you would have somebody out there with a folding table, OSHA cards. So you go in, get a bid, or place a bid. Okay, how much are the OSHA? And they used to be handwritten. This is the way it is, people. So what's the moral of the story with this 14-minute long monologue? Is this. Call us. We have other people on Safety FM you could call. We do all different types of training here. We work around your schedule. And that's what I have. Here, 845-269-5772. Give us a call. And we're going to go to our first commercial break.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com. unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Polzel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast, it's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Polzel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Yes, Jessica, I am your father. So here we are. We're back again. And so what it's very frustrating with all this stuff. And then again, hold on. Pardon me. Allergies are getting me, either that or Canadian wildfires. So we're going to talk about some news here. So U.S. Department of Labor here. Share screen. U.S. Department of Labor rescinds, and this is from today, 2021 supplemental statement on alternative assets and 401k plans. U.S. Department of Labor's Employee Benefits Security Administration has rescinded December 2021 supplemental statement that discouraged fiduciaries from considering alternative assets and 401k retirement plan investment menus. In the previous administration, hold on here. Sorry, folks, I got to fix something here on the computer. Right? Sorry. Again, we're a one-man show here. In previous supplemental statement, which undermined an earlier June 3rd, 2020 information letter, the Biden administration warned that most planned fiduciaries, which undermined, would be not likely suited to evaluate the use of PE investments in designated alternatives and individual account plans. The assertion had a chilling effect on the market and took a dismissive view of alternative assets and capabilities of fiduciaries. Well, I feel like we covered this several months ago. This is just another example of how the Biden administration put their thumb on the scale to pick winners and losers, said U.S. Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez de Reamer. Instead of allowing Washington bureaucrats to call the shots, we believe planned fiduciaries should decide which retirement investments options are best for hardworking Americans. Right? So, the decision to rescind the previous supplemental statement follows President Trump's latest executive order democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors. What has gotten into my mouth here? Which directs the Department of Labor to re-examine its guidance regarding fiduciary decisions, ensuring asset allocation funds that include alternative asset investments are available. So what's this all mean? They're giving other people options. And now, in defense of the Biden administration, they thought that there were some predatory actions going on there by some bad actors. That's what that was all about. U.S. Department of Labor and Commerce Education unveil workforce development strategy to fuel the golden age of the American economy. The U.S. Department's Labor, Commerce, and Education today published a milestone report, America's Talent Strategy, Equipping American Workers for the Golden Age, which presents a bold vision and concrete actions to transform the federal government's approach to the workforce development. The strategy outlines the Trump administration's blueprint for how it will prepare the workforce to seize the opportunities of President Trump's America First agenda and power the nation's entry into a new golden age of economic growth. Consisting of 5 strategic pillars, the strategy outlines how the Trump administration will take innovative actions to empower more Americans to access good-paying jobs, build pipelines of skilled talent for critical industries, preparing the workforce system for an AI-driven economy, and position the U.S. as a dominant global economic leader. So what are the 5 strategies? Demand-driven strategies, expand proven work-based learning models like registered apprenticeships, not online stuff, right? And align educational programs to career pathways and priority industries to ensure direct connections to employer needs. Worker mobility, bring more Americans into the labor force by identifying skills and credentials for in-demand jobs, connecting them with personalized support, including through AI-powered tools to help them advance. Integrated systems, streamline federal workforce development programs to empower states, unify access points in the system for workers and businesses, and advance the president's proposal to make America skilled again. Number 4, accountability, improve transparency and accountability for federally funded workforce plan programs by improving mechanisms for measuring success and redirecting funding to programs that are proven to connect Americans with good-paying jobs, and flexibility and innovation. Ensure the workforce is prepared to adapt quickly to an AI-driven economy by prioritizing AI literacy, creating new pathways to AI jobs, and fueling repaid, skilled, rapid reskilling and I cannot read tonight. U.S. Department of Labor announces availability of $30 million in grants to train American workers for jobs in high demand and emerging industries. Here. So, administered by the Department's Employment and Training Administration, these grants will provide outcome-based reimbursements to employers for providing training in high demand and emerging industries and align with President Trump's executive orders, preparing Americans for high-paid, skilled trade jobs in the future, restoring America's maritime dominance and America's action plan. Let's see. I don't think we covered Restoring American Dominance. This is from April 9th. By the way, this is this is an important one with our maritime shipping, especially with the recent supply chain problems going on from COVID. And during COVID, I should say, not from COVID, but okay, from or during. Again, now, this is a good start. So, Section 1, this is the executive order I'm reading here. The commercial, shipbuilding, and maritime workforce in the United States has been weakened by decades of government neglect, leading to the decline of one strong industrial base, while simultaneously empowering our adversaries and eroding U.S. national security. So we don't have the capacity to build stuff here. Both our allies and our strategic competitors produce ships for a fraction of the cost needed in the United States. Recent data shows the U.S. constructs less than 1% of commercial ships globally, while the People's Republic of China is responsible for producing approximately half. Rectifying these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes securing consistent, predictable, and durable federal funding, making the U.S. flagged and build vessels commercially competitive in international commerce. Section 2, the policy of the United States to revitalize and rebuild domestic maritime industries. And I guess, again, trying to build up the country here. That's the whole idea with that. all about jobs and training. U.S. Department of Labor announces $10.5 million in funding availability to support mine safety, health, and training for the nation's miners. The U.S. Department of Labor today announced that MSHA is making $10.5 million available in grants to help provide mine safety training for the nation's miners. MSHA will award these grants as part of its fiscal year 2025 state grants program to fund the delivery of federally mandated training and retraining for miners who work at surface, underground coal, and metal and non-metal mines throughout the U.S. A lot of people are available to apply. Go and check it out if you're interested. Okay. The U.S. Department of Labor cites a New Jersey commercial laundry company after worker injured at the Kearney. That's Kearney, not Kearney or Kearney. Kearney facility in New Jersey. The U.S. Department of Labor cited a commercial laundry company for alleged workplace safety hazards after an employee injury at its Kearney facility. The department's OSHA opened an investigation of a company operated as another company following a referral from the Kearney Police Department. Now, here's something here. All right. Anytime, I mean, this is nothing new here. This has been going on for many, many years. If there is a 911 call made to your facility, there will be a report made to OSHA, especially in this part of New Jersey. I believe that's Essex County. All right, don't hold it against me if I get that one wrong here. But basically, anywhere in North Jersey, and it's supposed to be nationwide, according to people I've spoken to, but it tends to be in, I'll put it out there, democratically controlled areas, right, that this happens. Where there's a 911 call made, whether there's for a fire, injury, any other incident, and now they report it to OSHA. Just the way it is. Now if it results in a overnight hospital stay or a fatality and you don't report it, now you have a problem if they find out. Again, with the statistics, so we did programs on statistics. We'll probably talk about them tomorrow here. It's the way it is, how they're collected and everything. We know that these things are being underreported. The agency cited the company for 3 willful and 9 serious violations for failing to evaluate permit-required confined spaces, notify employees of the confined spaces, develop a permit confined space program, and utilize lockout-tagout procedures to prevent accidental machine startup. The employer was also cited for neglecting to provide training to authorized employees, exposing workers to unguarded vertical and incline belts, and failing to conduct periodic inspections. OSHA has proposed a $252,994 penalty with that. I don't know what to tell you. Again, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Here we have U.S. Department of Labor orders a railroad company to reinstate the worker and pay over $300,000 in back wages, damages, and attorney fees. Union Pacific Railroad has violated federal whistleblower protections. A federal whistleblower investigation found that Union Pacific Railroad violated the Federal Railroad Safety Act by terminating a railroad engineer after the employees reported and sought medical care for workplace injury. OSHA has ordered Union Pacific to reinstate the employee and pay back wages, interest, compensatory, punitive damages, and attorney fees totaling over $300,000. Right, now there's some controversy here because they didn't get their day in court is what the argument is going to be. And this is likely going to be appealed here because there were some recent legal cases that said regulatory agency, unless given specific instructions by the enabling legislation, they cannot do punitive damages, only statutory. I believe it's called statutory damages. And let's go to another break here. God knows I need it today.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Posel with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Federal workplace safety inspectors found a Wisconsin animal food producer exposed employees to the risks of explosions, fires, and long-term respiratory illnesses from excessive amounts of airborne dust, among 24 safety and health violations they identified. The findings follow an inspection by OSHA at a Watertown facility in February 2024 after the agency received complaints of unsafe working conditions. OSHA inspectors found the company's poor housekeeping, its failure to evaluate spaces for dust hazards, and an absence of engineering controls to reduce dust created serious combustible and airborne dust hazards. The agency also determined Strauss Feeds did not develop a written respiratory protection program that includes medical evaluations, fit testing, monitoring, and training workers to recognize dust hazards. Unsafe levels of airborne dust can ignite suddenly, causing explosions and fires that jeopardize the safety of workers. Left unchecked, these same dust hazards can cause workers long-term health issues, explained OSHA Area Director Chad Greenwood in Madison, Wisconsin. Companies that manufacture products that create excessive dust particles must use engineering systems and highly effective respiratory protection programs to protect employees from harm. OSHA also noted workers were exposed to hazards from walking and working surfaces, falls, confined space, and the operation of industrial trucks and forklifts when combustible dust hazards were present, increasing the risks of fire and explosion. Inspectors cited Strauss Feeds for 19 serious and 5 other than serious safety and health violations. OSHA has assessed the company $161,332 in proposed penalties. Founded in 1875 as a small water-powered mill on a farm in North Manchester, Indiana, the company today makes milk replacer for calves and other young animals. For this and similar stories, along with commentary and a deep dive, listen to Safety Wars on your favorite podcast platform and video platform as Safety Wars or Jim Posel.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Posel, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
Okay, let me see here. We are back. Yeah, so we're having a laid back night tonight here. You can see that already. It's been a very, very, very long day here. So what else do we have? Okay, here's another one from New Jersey. I don't know why they're worried about New Jersey here. The U.S. Department of Labor and a new roofing contractor have reached a settlement agreement resolving litigation stemming from investigations in 2024 that found the employer repeatedly exposed workers to safety and health hazard. right? And then the U.S. Department of Labor last summer. The Department of Social initially investigated RRC home improvement in June 2024 in Dover, New Jersey, after receiving reports of employees working on a roof without fall protection. In 2024, investigators began at RRC work sites in Lodi as part of the, yes, there is a Lodi, New Jersey, as part of the agency's National Emphasis Program for Falls and Construction. Inspectors again observed employees working without required fall protection. OSHA also uncovered violations involving lack of hard hats, high protection, fire extinguishers, as well as a non-compliant pump jack, scaffold poles, and unsafe ladder use. $155,000. I mean, it would have been cheaper just to do, I don't know, very frustrating here. And Safe and Sound Week. So let's talk about Safe and Sound Week. So if you've been following us on TikTok and some of the other social media, we did a couple of videos, and this will be edited out for another video. Probably shorter. TikTok, Instagram got to be short. Communication. That's what we're talking about today. So you're going to say, well, what about communications? It's easy. You pick up the phone, blah, blah, blah. Well, we had a couple of situations in our town. First of all, I'm in a cell phone dead spot in my town. There ain't nothing. Doesn't matter what service you have. And, the three big main carriers, there's nothing there. So about a year ago, there was a car took out internet, took out a telephone pole, and subsequently the internet went out. That means most people do not have an old-fashioned wired phone. They have voice over internet, right, VoIP, or they have cell phones. So what happened when the internet went down? They couldn't get information or anything else. This went on for 2 days over the weekend. People with no way of communicating. So, simple things like that. Well, what are you going to do? Well, what ended up happening, people went down to their local coffee shop about 2 or 3 miles away, and they got internet there. They were able to use their cell phone. Right, that's when the signals were able to be picked up again. Now you're going to say, well, Jim, what do we got to actually plan for it? Yeah, you got to plan for it. Got to know how. A lot of people, they're not, now they use the cell phones. They know about the cell. I'm looking for mine here. Right, they know all about the cell phones, but guess what? They don't really know about the cell phones. They know you turn them on and you, right. Kind of learn where they're good, where they're bad. The other thing is this. On 9/11, and that seems like a long time ago, right, for most. Guess what do you think was all jammed up on 9/11? Cell phones and regular phones in the New York City area. Nothing worked. Y2K is the same thing. So many people making phone calls and everything. Y2K in 2000. Ask your parents and grandparents on that, kids, what Y2K was. So communications, not only for getting information, but receiving and sending out information. So now you get into a situation where we're going to use walkie-talkies. What they used to call, now they call them portable radios. The question is this. Do you have the appropriate radio? Right, a 4 or 5 watt system, which is what a CB radio is. I think it's 4. And all these other systems, they're only line of sight often, or they only go maybe 3 or 4 miles max. That's an issue. You have a base station, it goes a lot further. But again, how reliable is that? How about ham radio, shortwave radio? I'm studying right now for the technician's license. the 2-meter band. That depending on how conditions are, if they're just right, you could reach most of the lower 48 states. Right? And you can probably go out to sea if you're on either coast for a while. Again, those, right? But the thing is, you're going to need somebody else on the other end to get the message. And that whole thing is being phased out. AM radio is being phased out across the country. That's why these AM radio stations are getting bought up, pennies on the dollar. Our local one went, and it was not for, went real cheap, to say the least. So the question is this. Cell phone goes down or anything, how are you going to communicate? Right, this is part of what the situation is in New York State. They have a cell phone ban for their in schools. You're like, well, that's great. The kids aren't going to be are not going to be distracted. Okay, all well and good. Well, what are you going to do when there's an emergency? Then you're dealing with only the schools releasing information and everything else. You're reducing the capacity to get information out. What is safety, capacity, and resilience? You're reducing your communications capacity, and you're going to be completely in charge. Let that up to the schools. Are your schools trustworthy? Do you have a school like Uvalde, like in Uvalde, Texas, where nobody has any training? No, I mean the law enforcement in schools, no plans, no nothing, in violation of their own state law? So maybe that's a good question that you need to ask your school districts here. What kind of plan do you have in place? Now, you just going at and discussing this and thinking about it, you're miles ahead of the average person with this. And that's my day number 3, and this is for tomorrow morning, right? Message for you. With that, for Safe and Sound Week. U.S. Department of Labor recognizes Marine Corps Air Station Camp Pendleton as a workplace safety star organization. U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA has certified Marine Corps Station Camp Pendleton as a star employer in its VPP programs. The VPP star is OSHA's highest level of recognition of employers and workers who have implemented effective safety management systems and kept injury and illness rates below the industry averages. The agency's VPP programs bring company management, site employees, and OSHA together to focus on hazard prevention and control. So we're right up here with this. We're coming to the end of this has been pre-recorded. We're going to be put on some other stuff here, and we'll get back to you. We're at 44 minutes after the hour here, so we'll be back tomorrow for Safety Wars. This is Jim Posel, and we'll see you tomorrow. Put on some more pre-recorded programs.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.